Hi everybody, so here we are for another Art Magique session. This time you can stop and start the video wherever you need to, but this session is going to be based on a suggestion that was made during the last Art Magique live Zoom, and a little boy asked me if I could teach him how to draw and paint a dragon. So we will be having a little bit of a practice session to begin, and then we'll have a go at creating our own version of a dragon. And it's really interesting because yesterday I watched a beautiful film called The Never-Ending Story, which is a film from when I was a little girl, and it's all about adventure and mystery and fantasy. And in that film there is a dragon called Falcor, who is a luck dragon. So he's a lucky dragon for the main character, and the main character rides on his back, and he helps to save a planet. So it's really, really beautiful creature to think about, and because this will be working from your own imaginations, you can really go to town with the colours that you use, and you might all want to do them quite differently. And if we had to think of a real life creature that was somehow similar to a dragon, we would probably think of something like a lizard. And there's one called a bearded dragon, in fact, who has like a big area around his face. So you can make them really stand out and be completely different to one another. But the first thing I would like you to do is to set yourself up. Starting off, I'm going to draw a dragon from my imagination. Then I'm going to teach you how to visualize something so that it looks like the shape is in proportion, which means that the head makes sense with the body and the legs make sense with the body and the tail and the wings. So just thinking a little bit about, first of all, just going from your imagination and drawing your imaginary dragon, however you think it might look. And this one doesn't matter, you can do it however you like, and it can have kind of a funny shaped body. Doesn't really matter because this one is just to do with your imagination. So this is a bit of my imaginary dragon. I've just added a little bit more detail now, but I'm just enjoying, and I might give him funny patterns on his back, and I know they're supposed to have like scales. In fact, the one in Never-Ending Story had like shiny pink sparkly scales. So you can have it, it can be a jolly, happy, lucky dragon if you want it to be, or it can be a fierce one that breathes fire. Up to you. Okay, so that's my imaginary dragon. Now I'm going to teach you how to break down a dragon into shapes. So
this is what my imaginary dragon looks like. I might add a bit of movement to him once we progress, and yeah.
So I found a picture of a reptile that really resembles what I imagine a dragon would look like. So we're going to break this down into shapes that we're looking at. So we could consider that this part of the head is a round shape, and my dragon's definitely going to have like a longer sort of end of the nose, so you can kind of round this area off here. So I'm going to start off, in fact I'm going to change my format to landscape, and I'm going to start off by kind of drawing the circles of the lizard to start off with. It's a very proud looking lizard. So that's the head, and that is going to be the end of the nose. Then I am going to extend the body eventually, but this part of the body is like a big oval, like a big egg shape. So I'm going to do sort of an egg shape down here. And then make sure that I've got like an idea where the top of the arms are going to be. And the tail will be somewhere over here, sort of following from this idea. And his bottom leg slightly comes out at the bottom. So I'm breaking my dragon, even though I know it's a mythological creature, so a creature that comes from stories, still going to give it some sort of relation to a real animal. So we're looking at something that I see quite similar, which is a lizard. And now I'm going to start to add some of those details so that we can kind of get the feel of what the dragon might look like. Started to add a little bit of shading just to give a bit of form to the dragon. So you can see that I've used the circle here and the big circle on the body and circles to indicate like the top of the legs to show where the kind of main form of the body. And then what I've done is to join the lines up and to slightly elongate them to make them longer. So this little bit here was the first circle I did on the end of the dragon's mouth, and the bigger one, and then the big one for the body. And I've added some wings, which I will probably make a little bit bigger on the next one. But because this is still your sketchbook, this is your practice area, so you're just practicing drawing your dragon at the moment. And then we're going to get our watercolours out, our paints ready with a pot of water and a piece of kitchen roll, and we're going to work on our watercolour to do our own lucky dragon based on our sketches from our sketchbook.
Okay, so I've added shading to my dragon, and it just it made him look a bit more alive. So this is him. He doesn't look too alive because obviously it's a drawing, but I kind of like it.
So as you can see on my watercolour paper, I have slightly made my initial sketch a little bit smaller. I've started to add a few little details just to give an idea of where I'm going to work within, but I realise already that it's all a little bit too dark, the pencil, so I'm really just gently going to lightly take some of that lead away. You can use the back of the pencils that you've got in your kit. There's a rubber on there just to take away some of this heavy pencil, because what happens then when you start to add colours is that you will find you can't get rid of your pencil lines very easily. Sometimes it's nice to see a pencil line on things, but to get the full effect with all these beautiful colours that you have, perhaps you don't want such heavy lines. So you can just gently take things away a little bit with your rubber, but not too much, so you know what you're working with then. Okay. And we're good to start painting. So you should have your wonderful box of paints ready, your paintbrush, There were a couple of paintbrushes in the kit, some water, and if you've got some piece of kitchen roll or tissue, it's really good for cleaning your brush in between colours. And the next part, the most exciting part really, is to decide what kind of colours you'd like your dragon to be. I'm going to go along the lines of blues and purples to start off with, and then see what happens. When you're using watercolour, because it mixes, it's soluble, so it mixes with water, make sure you load up your paintbrush with plenty of water to begin. And if you're starting on sort of a medium colour, something like a purple, this may be the colour that you decide to use for the majority of the body. You might then want to add different colours with the scales of the lucky dragon. This is up to you, but make sure you've got plenty of water to begin on your paintbrush so that it makes it nice and wet, and then start to work onto your dragon. So the secret is to not make it super dark to begin, because then you can start to add into areas. And there was a technique that I showed the other day in the live class, which was called wet on wet. That's using a wet material, like a wet paint on a wet surface. So you can wet the whole of the body of the dragon with water if you like to. And then you can start to add different colours into that. And what will happen when you do that, depending on which colour you're going for, it will kind of make the paint really sort of watery and lovely, and when you add other colours to it, I'll give you a little example here. They sort of blend together really beautifully. Can you see? So that technique is called wet on wet, but you can just use watercolour as it is without wetting the surface, and just fill in all the different bits where you've drawn. So using your drawings as a bit of a guide. It's sometimes nice to leave a little bit of the white of the paper just to show that there's a reflection as well. In things like the dragon's eye, I would suggest using a little bit of leaving the white of the paper there as well, because eyes look really real if they have a little touch of white reflection in them. And I'm going to carry on painting this, but I shall speed it up. With how my lucky dragon has turned out. I'm going to leave it to dry right now, and then what I might do is to, once it's dry, just add a little bit more or a few more details into some of the areas with the coloured pencils that you had in your kit as well. So this is kind of just a little class in showing you how to paint your own lucky dragon. And hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's been really, really nice just sitting, getting my colours out and drawing along with you. And I'd really love you to share any of your lucky dragons with me. Hopefully they'll all be really, really different and imaginative. So take care everybody. See you soon. Bye.